I wanted to join a large branch of a large Japanese company. Jesus showed me in a dream, the owner of that branch offering all the souls of his company officials to the devil. In the dream, a voice says, "John, your soul is not for sale, belong to me, do not ask me to open that door of employment. I know what is best for your life, the Father knows what is good for his child." I cried at Jesus' feet. I was unemployed, my wife was pregnant. I thought about how I was going to support my family. A soft voice spoke in my ear, saying, "Servant, do you not believe me? You will not be able to win this test if you doubt me. You serve me, am I not a great God who can help you? Am I not enough to give you a job? Look at the immensity of the universe that is so great. Who could have created it? The blessing is available on your way and you are just ahead, keep walking until you reach it, have patience, it is very close." That night I went to sleep in peace and dreamed of several people walking in the church. This road was filled with giant stones that were obstacles. Many preferred to walk on other paths that had no stones, and few continued to follow the path of giant stones. One voice said, "Keep following this path of truth, do not take other directions in easy ways." The church passed over the giant stones and kept walking until they reached a dangerous part. A road cut the road where many cars passed without stopping. The people had to pass the road to continue walking along the way. Those who did not pay attention and were distracted at the time of crossing were run over and died. A voice said to go on, do not look back, and the rest that could pass through the crossing of death will continue their journey. Jesus said those who died were distracted in their pursuit of personal accomplishments, forgetting to stand in his way and being surprised by death before reaching their desires. These deaths are spiritual. A young man continued walking on a path and was almost there. Every time he complained about his life, he regressed 3 subways back. The more he complained, he pulled back 3 more subways and was far from the end of his road. I saw a woman walking on the path and the sun was very hot. In front of the road was a house 5 meters. This woman murmured of God, speaking of her situation. The more she murmured, the more she could not get close to the house. When she was almost in the house to get rid of the hot sun, the house moved forward and she could never get there because the property also moved forward from her reach. A voice said, all who murmur against me, their blessings flee from their hands. And those who do not watch and complain about their lives, the blessings are becoming distant every day. I woke up from that symbolic dream and Jesus gave me the revelation. He made me read the life of the people of Israel in the wilderness that took 40 years because of the murmuring. They were not prepared to conquer Canaan because their hearts were hard, and many died because of the murmurings. Only Joshua and Caleb were deserving. The patience of these 2 men made them not murmur and wait. Jesus knows my heart and used a Christian woman who said that the door of employment would open and I will have a very high salary. She said God did not give me this job before because I was not mature spiritually. If Jesus had opened the door, I would have gone astray. And the car I had asked from God, the request was denied. Jesus told me he would not give the car so I would not worship it. Jesus prepared me spiritually and then blessed me. I was very happy with this job. An entrepreneur offered me an opportunity to work earning twice as much of my salary as I was getting. He wanted to get me out of the job Jesus gave me. The proposal was tempting. A man used by God came to me and said, you will not work with the businessman because of the high salary. He's going to fire you, stay in the job Jesus gave you. 9 months later, the company that offered the jobs for me dismissed many men and there was mass dismissal. This company went bankrupt and many were unemployed. I was so thankful to God for not letting me change jobs, otherwise, I would become unemployed again. I prayed fervently to God and felt a great force pulling me out of my body. An angel came to meet me and led me to hell. He said, people who lived a sweet life on earth practicing sin are now living a bitter life in hell. All the sweet taste of the world becomes sour when they come to hell. What I am going to show you is not the wicked who did not believe in Jesus. I am going to take to the valley of Christians who are in hell. Christians in hell. I saw many for various kinds of sin. Christians who did not bear witness to a holy life. They have done the will of their own flesh. They knew the word and did not use it to win souls but to cause strife. I saw Christians who have used their tongues to get people to divert and leave the church. They used their tongues to divide the church and overthrow ministries. Their tongues looked like knives that hurt many people. I saw Christians who had immoral tongues and spoke on pornographic subjects. I saw Christians in hell who spoke corrupt words and used their tongues to curse their family. Christians who used their tongues to curse their children. As their children grew up, they became murderers, drunks, and drug addicts because of their parents' words. I saw a mother in hell for cursing her son. She died of heart disease and suffered a lot. I saw a Christian in hell for having died of grief for the children who gave problems. He cursed all his children and never repented. I saw in hell many pastors who cursed their members who came out of their ministry. They told the members if they leave his church they will be struck down by God. Jehovah will injure them with the diseases of death and their lives will no longer be the same. When they leave here they will be under a curse. They will not succeed. These pastors uttered, "I curse you." These shepherds are burning in hell for having a slanderous tongue. Christians who use their tongues to distill poisons and kill many spiritually. In hell, the demons pulled their tongues and cut them. They split their tongues into two like the tongues of a snake and caused them to crawl like snakes. The demons opened their mouths and threw embers of fire to burn the tongues of these Christians. The angel said, "The tongue of the servants of God is holy, speak of the word of Jesus." From the mouth of a saint, there must be words that build and exhort. They have to convey the truth, not the immorality, curses, and words of corruption. After these scenes of terror, I will subject my tongue to the Lord and keep my mouth shut, I will not complain. The angel took me to the other side of the valley of the Christians. And many other for insignificant things like not agreeing their opinions and arguing about the apocalypse. It seemed like a political discussion where each one defended his or her own ideology. They began to hate each other by becoming enemies. I saw Christians in hell who have been arguing about their denominations, each defending the name of his ministry, looking like two fanatical supporters defending their heart clubs. Two Christians who came out punching and attacking each other are now in hell. Christians who like to debate the word and make a war, turned the wind into a storm and the spark made the fire to spread. There are Bible critics in hell who said the gospel narratives have errors. There are those who considered themselves the infallible authorities of opinions and advice. They did not like being contradicted in their ideologies by getting angry. They do not accept personal choices and forced people to follow their concepts. All these modern Pharisees are in hell for their arrogance and conceit. Men swollen in the letter and spiritually dead. I saw in hell a Christian woman who humiliated her husband because he is unemployed and only she worked. She died in a car accident. I saw a Christian in hell for not accepting the wise counsel of the men of God. He said, "His words are no good to me, I do not accept his advice, my mind is formed enough not to accept. I can give advice, but I do not want to receive." This Christian died with his pride and went to hell. God used vessels to alert him about his sin but he rejected their advice. Proverbs 16 verse 18, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall." I saw Christians in hell for not being able to overcome their trials and blamed God for their failures. I saw young Christians in hell because of prostitution. They prayed to God for a wife and did not have the patience to wait and fell into sin. The deviants who left the church and said, "I will not stay in the church because of that brother, I am never part of the church, I can be saved without a congregation." Jesus did not call his people to stay in temples, all this is religion. These brothers without churches thought that they would save themselves without being connected in churches and went to hell. Those who have no fellowship with the body of Christ and live in disunity with the holy people will go to hell. God's people have to be united to meet Jesus. The angel said, "I will show you the valley of the hypocrites." He took me to this place, These brothers said that they left the church because of other brothers. But the truth, they left because of their sins. They wanted to sin congregating in the church, but they could not be serving two masters. They left the church and returned to the world and told lies that it was because of some brothers that they left the church. They hid the true motives, hiding the sinful desires from their hearts. And even in hell they did not admit their sins and blame others for their damnation. They felt love for the world and not in serving Jesus. In hell, they were never sincere in admitting that their flesh was weak and continued to blame someone else for their mistakes. I saw a Christian woman who did not accept correction. She felt perfect and untouchable. When her pastor rebuked her, she said she was being persecuted, becoming a victim, not seeing her sins and seeing the sins of others for accusing her. This woman is in hell for not wanting to live the gospel, and yet she considered herself perfect. The angel said, "These Christians who are here have been forgotten by God and are separated from His presence forever. Speak to those who still live to repent of their sins to be justified. Their sins will be erased from the book of judgment." The angel commanded the demon that is in hell to bring me back to earth. The demon took me out of hell and put my spirit in the body. He said that I did not belong to him and left. I got up from the floor and was cold and unconscious. I returned to earth and helped my ex-pastor to return to the path of Jesus. Thank God the prophetic dream was fulfilled and the Lord delivered a new flock in his hands to take care of. The pastor opened a new ministry. What surprised me was when the pastor anointed the boy. He was dumb, did not speak and only read the Bible with his eyes and prayed in thoughts. He could not sing or preach in church. He was hard at work, though he did not speak. I communicated with him by writing. The pastor saw his effort in the work and anointed him as a deacon, and that surprised the whole church. The shepherd was used by God to exalt that boy as everyone looked upon him as poor, sick, and incapable of being a worker. I wept over the attitude of the pastor who fell in faith and was restored by God. I remembered Mephibosheth being crippled, and he had no inheritance, but David exalted him. I thank God for everything and the privilege of this recording. May the grace of God reach all our men.